Thank you all for being here this morning. It's wonderful to have such a vibrant assembly for this joyous occasion. I always love the cherry blossoms, but this year they're particularly beautiful. And as we were preparing for the ceremonies, I was upstairs stealing a cookie, which I highly recommend afterwards, and looking out at the cherry blossoms, and they're right at that point where they're all starting to come off of the trees, and it's very poetic. When I was a young man and very interested in Japan, a little obsessed, I guess would be the right word. And I was taking a lot of classes. I was in university about East Asian culture and Japanese culture in particular. And if you do that, they're just always talking about cherry blossoms. You know, every other poem is about cherry blossoms and about the kind of fleeting quality of a human life and how everything is impermanent. And I must say, I didn't get it. I was like, why did they just keep coming back to the same motif over and over again? I suppose in your late teens and early 20s, you're not so interested in the fleeting quality of life, more interested in what you're going to do, what you're going to accomplish, who you're going to go on a date with, those kinds of things. But as I was looking at the cherry blossoms this morning, I was thinking how important that quality of a fleeting life has become for me personally, and also how important I've come to believe it is for the practice of the Buddha Dharma. One of the central teachings of Buddhism, or we could say the central teaching of Buddhism, is impermanence. And it's not bad that the cherry blossoms fall. Even though we don't want them to, we know that it has to happen. And because they fall, there is a kind of renewal. And that renewal happens again and again. So the ceremonies, the rituals that were gathered together to celebrate this morning are like that. That in each generation, there are people who choose to receive an initiation into a lineage. And the lineage is like those blossoms, receiving the nourishment from the trunk and the branches of the tree. Our lives can blossom. That's what it's like to receive the precepts. To take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, to have an aspiration for awakening, and then to vow to live in accordance with the guidelines, with the encouragements of how it is that we can fully receive the nourishment from our ancestors and bring it out in our own life. And as I was looking at the cherry blossoms this morning, I was thinking about my teacher. And when I asked him to become his student, it was such a matter-of-fact thing. He was like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yes. And then about a year went by, and then it happened. But it was so natural to him. It was just the way of his life to be a vehicle for these teachings and for this tradition, and really just for life itself. And so I feel very honored to be the preceptor for these 9 people who have been diligently sowing their raksus over the past few months. Those of you, family and friends, maybe you have heard them curse a few times about what that process is like, which is completely appropriate. The process of sowing raksu. For some people, they're very good at sowing, and so it's less of a hardship. But for most people, even people who are good at sowing, it's a bit of a thing. It's kind of a process of aligning your attention to what it is that you're going to receive in the precept passing, and that way in which each stitch really matters becomes very evident the kind of rakusu that we sew, the stitches are all exposed. So you get to see your misplaced needle over and over and over and over and over and over again, which is, as the Shuso has been reminding us in this practice period, something like a flame spewing up from the earth. That care also brings out all kinds of vibrancy and typically also frustration. And so is life. I'm continually frustrated by my own idiocy, but I'm maybe more resigned to it than I was when I first received the precepts. Blessings for those who receive the precepts today. So during the ceremony, you'll see some things that if you haven't been to the temple before, you haven't seen before, that may feel a little strange to you. One of those is prostrations. So in our tradition, placing our forehead all the way to the ground and lifting up our hands like this. This is like inviting the Buddha to stand on our hands and to lift them above our head. So that's a practice which we do a lot at the temple. And it's kind of yoga of humility. It's a kind of yoga of reverence. But is a little bit, many for us in the West, we're not used to that, and it feels a little bit strange. So just what do they call that? Warning you're supposed to give. If people are going to be set off, a trigger warning, yeah. Prostration trigger warning. Also, the ceremony will be relatively long, and especially with 9 preceptees, then there is a process that happens over and over again. Many things happen in cycles of 3, and you might think to yourself, are we really going to do that again? As you're doing the second one and you come into the third one. It's designed that way. Right? And what I mean by it's designed that way is many things, we do them just once, and then we're like, oh yeah, I can do that, I got through it. But did we really do it? Did we really pay attention to what was happening there? That becomes a question. So the ritual is designed to bring about a meditation on what is happening. So we go again, and then by the third time, usually we've loosened up our grip on wanting to get through it, and then you can really stay present with it. So it's important to engage the ritual like a kind of meditation. Don't think too much about the passing of time. You just sit and participate as you wish and are able. If you do feel uncomfortable or you need to go to the restroom or something like that, and to quietly slip out and come back in, of course that's fine. But I do really encourage you to just be present with it. It speaks for itself. And then finally, I would just extend a reminder to everyone who has received precepts before. You should join in with all of the recitations. If you haven't received precepts before and you'd like to follow along with the recitations, of course you're welcome to. But if you have received precepts before, you're required. It's kind of renewal for all of us in the precept line. Thank you again for being here, and I will go change my robes now.